My name's Adrian Brown. I'm a business coach, consultant, and mentor. And I specialize in the hospitality industry. And my talk today is about how to build motivated, inspired, and engaged teams. And there's a very simple reason for that. Building motivated, inspired, and engaged teams is the quickest way to boost your profits in your business. You can spend lots of money refurbishing beauty salons. But you teach a therapist how to sell better, how to engage with the customer better, that is the quickest way that you're going to increase your profits. And what I'm going to do today is give you a plan, if you like, to take home to learn how to do that. Because when you improve the performance of your staff, yes, you improve the performance of the business, but you give yourself more opportunity to be running your business, to working on your business rather than in it. How many of you are business salon owners in the room? And how many of you manage salons for other people? A couple. Okay, great, welcome. The reason that this is the quickest return on investment in people is because once you get people contributing to you in your business, what they're doing is they're taking jobs off your hands. They're allowing you to focus on outside the business, and they're getting more response from your customers. But the really tricky thing is you need to know what to invest in your people, and you need to know how to invest it. And that's where many people make the mistake, and they spend a lot of time doing things over and over again without getting the right result. Oops, wrong way. So this is a truth in life. If you take care of your staff will take care of your customers. And if your staff take care of your customers, they will take care of the business. But very rarely do I meet business owners who truly understand what taking care of their staff is. And I'm going to knock any myths out today about that, because I want you to understand that taking care of your staff is not about being soft and cuddly and nice, making them cups of tea. That's not it. Taking care of staff is a very specific thing you need to do, and you need to do it well. Now, when people come on stage, they often tell you a bit about their story, about how they got here and they had the big car crash and it was dramatic. Well, I had the slow motion version. First of all, I had a heart attack. That was quite normal. Quite a lot of people have those. Then I trumped that and got divorced. Quite a lot of people have done that. And then I thought, well, I'd go for another one. I got cancer. That was really helpful. And then one night at 4 o'clock in the morning, I slipped and fell down a staircase, and I severed 3.5 of the tendons in my shoulder. It's quite good now. And for 6 weeks, I was stationary. I couldn't do anything. And in those 6 weeks, what I did was I reflected on my business career to try and figure out what was it about business that really made the successful businesses successful and caused the unsuccessful businesses to struggle and fail. And I looked at 3 things. My first, if you like, proper business experience at the age of 26 was working for a large IT company around the world. And in that, I realized that different people from different countries have different cultures. No real surprise there. The surprise came when I realized how differently they behaved, how differently you had to manage them. Now we go, oh, culture, international. I've probably got English people working in my salon. But if you come from Birmingham or Liverpool or Manchester or London or Exeter, you've grown up in a different culture. You think differently. And actually, you respond to different things. Secondly, I worked in a boutique hotel. Beautiful 27-bedroom exclusive-use hotel. We were a very high-tech, high-touch property. High-tech because it was beautifully decorated, had all the best kit. It's wonderful. The high-touch bit was the people. And I realized there that actually 70% of the guest experience is not the technology or the product, it's your people. That's what they remember. And finally, some of you may know I went to the beauty business. We started a small beauty salon business called Briaqua. It became Dove Spa. And we ended up with 52 beauty salons around the world, in England, Spain, Canada, and Mexico. And there I learned something which was equally important, is if you don't have a clear strategy for your business, you're probably going to fail. Or you're going to succeed by luck, which quite a lot of businesses do. And the thing about a business like we had with Dove Spa, it was actually 2 businesses. There was a product business and there was a salon business. Now, you will buy products from Elemis and other people. There are very few of them that run successful spa businesses as well as having product businesses. They are 2 very different strategies, and you have to have 2 different strategies for that. So, if you started your own business, you probably did it for one of these reasons. You probably had a driving passion, or you wanted more freedom. You'd been working for somebody else. You remember that one about entrepreneurs? They're the ones that work 100 hours a week instead of working 40 hours a week for somebody else. You know, we've all had that. You may have wanted more money. You thought you were going to get more time to spend with your family or play golf or go sailing or do nice things. You had some thing you wanted to serve the world with, make a difference in the world, and you wanted less stress. And so you start your business. How many of you started your business for some of those reasons or one of those reasons? And then what happened? The passion goes a bit because you're struggling and you lose your mojo a bit. That's a people issue. You end up doing everything for everyone else. People issue. Now, the only real cash issue is the money bit. You lose out on your money. You can't pay yourself. Time. How many of you got lots of time? Okay. Simple answer, isn't it? You want to serve the world, but you end up finding you're not even serving yourself or your family. Actually, it's costing you energy and time to do this business. And finally, are you stressed? It's hard to meet a business owner that goes, no, I'm not stressed. Because we all get a bit stressed, but how many of you get overstressed by running a business? Okay, so we're in the right room. What do you want? Would you like your business to be more profitable? Please put your hand up if you'd like your business to be more profitable. If you haven't got your hand up, are you running a business? Secondly, would you like to be more profitable and not have it cost you a fortune? Okay? And then thirdly, how many of you are getting absolutely the best performance from all of your staff all of the time? Okay. So I think I've got something you might be interested in. In reality, what we do in business is we rely on a few key performers. We have a few really star performers in our business that we rely on because they are the ones that make the most sales, they do have the best customer service, they contribute the most to you, and you do rely on them. Have you got really reliable people in your business? We all have, yeah? The thing is, if we over-rely on those people, they can get bored, fed up, and then what happens? They leave. What happens to your profits? Right? It's really risky if they leave, or they get sick, because you rely on just that. So what we need to do is learn how to invest your time, your effort, your money, in all of your staff, so you're bringing them all up to greater standards. Many years ago, we had things called apprenticeships. I'm not talking about modern-day apprenticeships, that's a load of... True apprenticeships is somebody who would come to work for you and they'd learn beside you the tools of the trade, how to do it. And they really got to understand the business. But today, that doesn't happen. We almost expect the therapist to arrive and know how to do the stuff, and we then leave them alone and wonder why it doesn't always work. So we need to find ways to get them all involved. Because if you get all your people involved, what you're going to do is you're going to protect your business from risk. You're going to be able to grow your business more because you're not just relying on those few. Every single member of your staff is going to be contributing to your business. And let's just get rid of some myths about people. How many people think that there is actually a lack of good therapists out there? Or good talent? Yeah? Well, the fact is, no, there isn't. Because your good therapists today once started off as juniors, and they've got better. How have they got better? They've learnt. From who, though? The people they work with. They may have gone on additional courses, great, but they learnt from the owners and managers of people they work with and then went on to grow and do their own thing. They probably left because they got bored and they were misused by an owner or got taken advantage of, but they learnt the trade from people next to them. And when we ran Dove Spa, when we started Reaqua, we bought a lot of salons from people who had got to a stage where they'd grown their business and they wanted to leave. But the people they'd trained in them were fantastic. So we cheated. We bought salons that were really working well. So the myth is this, that poor performing staff are the problem. But actually, poor performing staff aren't the problem. Poor performing staff, are the symptom of the problem. And the problem is that we don't actually understand what it takes to turn a poor performing member of staff into a high performing member of staff. So, when I had my hotel, we had a guy working for me called Alan. And I had a total of 47 staff. 45 of them were great. I loved them. There were two, Alan and his wife Gwyneth, who if they'd left, I would have been overjoyed. I'd have celebrated. God, we got champagne. Yay, they're gone. Thing is, I had just had the most amazing booking come in. And this is before I knew Unilever from the Dove Spa days. The board of Unilever were coming to our hotel for a 3-day conference. And they were going to start their conference having a formal dinner. Who's watched Downton Abbey? You know Downton Abbey? Right. Formal dinners mean cut glass crystal, silver candelabra, everything's polished and gleaming, linen tablecloths, the works. To set up that for 26 people for dinner actually takes quite a few hours because every knife has to be polished, every piece of glass has to be polished. It's a work of passion and dedication. And because we had a huge function the night before, I had one person to do that. And guess who? Alan. As always with any event, I would do a walk round to make sure that everything was set fair for the event. So I set off to the dining room. And I opened the door, because I knew there was going to be a problem. And I looked in, and it was perfect. It was immaculate. Every glass gleamed, every bit of silver shone. The napkins were all laid out, the place settings were perfect. And something suddenly dawned on me, that there was Alan, the person, little bit of profanity, that I thought was a dickhead, and now suddenly the person who has just done this amazing job that required passion, attention to detail. It required effort. And this isn't the Alan I knew. And it dawned on me. This was the Alan, was my perception of Alan, and now I had the reality of Alan. And I suddenly realized that actually, one of the biggest barriers to Alan performing well for me wasn't Alan, it was me. It was my perception of Alan. And that's Alan doing his job brilliantly. We all see life through a lens, all of us. Not just these lenses. If I take those off, I've got another one underneath. We all see life through a lens, and that lens is from our context, our relationships, our experience, our past, interactions we've had from people, all create that context that we see people through, that perception we have of them. And then they show up, not as they are, but as we think they are. And sometimes if you've got, how many of you got people working for you that you don't really think are that good? They could improve a bit always. Well, here's the thing. It's probably your perception more than their performance that needs to have a kick. Because if you change your perception, you're going to see new things about those people. So what I learned was this absolute blinding light, a flash of inspiration was, oh my God, maybe it's what I think about the person that's more important. And here's a little tip. We think about that about poor performing staff. Well, I had someone I thought was excellent. I fired them 2 months later because they were adjusting the stock manually. And I thought they were a great member of staff, but they were stealing from me blind. So perception can work both ways because it clouds you seeing the real facts of what's there. Now, all of us have 4 types of employee working for us. Those 4 types of employee are made up of the staff who don't contribute, and the staff that do, the staff that aren't aligned, and the staff that are aligned. Now, funnily enough, the nicest ones are the bottom left. Bottom right to you. The collaborators, the contributor members of staff. Contributor employees are wonderful. They collaborate with you to solve the problems. They don't ask you for the solutions, they come with solutions. They are the role models for the rest of your staff. You know, all the stuff, I want to be like her one day. They're raving supporters of you, your business, your vision. They know where you're going, and they're right there at your side. Have you got people that work for you like that? Yes? Now, unfortunately, those are few and far between. Because a world survey done by Gallup in 140 countries with 260,000 people surveyed turned out that actually 13% only fit into that category. The rest of them are something else. The next lot are passengers. Now, there are 2 types of passengers, proud passengers and indifferent passengers. Now, your proud passengers are proud that they're working for you. It means something that they're working for you. They love working for you. And at the end of the day, they go home. They're not the ones that are going to put in extra hours. They're not the ones that are going to bend over backwards for you. They will come to work on time. They will do their work. They'll clean their room. They'll go home. And they're steady. And you can rely on them. And if there's a problem, they'll come and find you. That's not working. Or the customer's after something I don't know. How are we going to handle it? And to the customer, they'll say, I don't know the answer, but I'll go and find it for you and come back. Nice, yeah? The indifferent passenger will do all the other things, but if there's a problem, they'll just walk past it. They won't bother. It's not important to them. Job's worth. Not my job to do that. I'll do it something else. They're the ones that, in beauty salon times, I think you will all resonate with this, they're the ones that leave their dirty cup in the sink in the staff room and don't wash the other ones up. Yes, we've all had that problem. Then we get these ones down here, the mavericks. Now, it says they're contributing. Well, in their mind, they are. They really are contributing. It's just that they're contributing probably to a different salon, not your salon. They think in their mind they're contributing to your salon, but what they're doing is not really quite getting it right. They sort of can be very disruptive. They can distract people. They're a bit disillusioned themselves, and sorry for the typo. But they are eager. And actually, it's quite easy to take someone from here to there as soon as they understand what's expected of them. And then the final lot are the terrorist employees. Now, these are rare, okay? But they do happen. And they're very clever, because sometimes you don't even know they are damaging your business. They're undermining your staff. They may be really nice to this person over here, while over that side stabbing somebody else in the back. Now, how many of you have access to HR expertise in your business? Hands up the ones that don't. While you're here today, I don't know if there are any. Are there any HR businesses on stands here today? Have you seen any? Yes, there are. You are one, are you? Oh, this lady here is one. Right? Please stand up and tell them your name. So, every client I've ever had that hasn't got HR expertise, I tell them absolutely, I'm not an HR consultant, but I say to them, please go and find one. The way the legislation changes so quickly, you need to have that behind you, so you need to know what's going on. And it may just be a half-hour chat with them to get to meet them and get the relationship started. But when you have a problem, before you act, ask. Because you can save yourself time, money, and a lot of stress by getting it right. So if you haven't got one, please go and find one. Slight distraction there. So we have these 4 types of employees, but guess what? Let's look at what we know so far. The most important thing is that perception is the greatest barrier to performance. But your perception of employee, you might be putting them as a terrorist when actually they're not. So you have to check the facts. We also know that poor performing staff are not the problem. Poor performing staff are a symptom of this problem that I'm talking about. And you have those 4 different types of employee. Are we clear so far? Is that, we're all there? Right. So, the rest of it's all about you. Because you run the business. It's your business. It's your vision. It's your passion. Who's leading it? You are. And that's the thing. You are leading this business, and you have the power. Because it's about the actions that you take with your staff that determines their performance. Now, what actions are you going to ask? Well, we'll come on to that. It's about how you behave around your staff. I wrote a blog last week about a hotel, which was a bit of a damning blog, but I didn't name the hotel because I'm not like that. The end of the blog, I actually pointed out that the owner of this property parks his very nice Porsche Cayenne, or whatever it's called, in the disabled bay nearest the front door of the hotel, because it's convenient for him. What message does that send to his staff? You know, it's like, it's horrible. But how you behave is sending messages to your staff all the time. But you have the power to motivate, inspire, engage, and influence your staff. But you just need to know what you need to do and how to do it to make that happen. Because if you've got a purpose and a passion, you can challenge your staff effectively. How many of you got an interest outside of work that you're really passionate about? Maybe horse riding or swimming or sailing or something, yeah? When you're asked to go and do that passion, do you think twice about it or just take the opportunity and run and go for it? Does doing that passion challenge you? Like, do you have to step up to perform well at it? And do you enjoy that challenge? Of course you do, because otherwise it wouldn't be a passion. So what we're trying to think of here is, as an owner of a business, we need to get inside the heads of our staff to find out what they might be passionate about within the context of your business, and farm that, and build on that, because that's where the greatest contribution is going to come from those employees. What you want them to do is you want them to choose to make a contribution to your business. Because once people make a contribution to your business, they're accepting the challenge, they're adding value, and it's giving money back to you in real terms. Because the more value they add to your customers, the more value the customers are going to add to your business. What they need, though, is clarity. They need to understand the game plan. How many of you play tennis? How many of you know what tennis is as a game? We all know, right? Lines, net. That's the clarity of the game of tennis, is because we have the lines, we have the net, we have a set of rules that tell us how to play it. If I turned up in rugby boots on a tennis court, it wouldn't fit. I wouldn't be able to make a contribution. But some of your staff are metaphorically turning up in rugby boots in your salon and you're trying to play tennis. They are trying to maybe be a quick service salon and you're trying to be a high-end top quality salon. So you've got to the staff have got to understand what your passion, your vision is for the business. And they need to have absolute clarity on that. And the other thing they need to have is certainty about what you expect from them. Certainty about what they can contribute to you. Because if they don't know, guess what? They can't contribute. How many of you contributed to charity before? Or actively, not money, I mean you as a person doing something. It's great until you get there one day and you actually don't know what to do. Nobody's there guiding you, nobody's there leading you, nobody's drawing out your contribution. Then it gets a bit disillusionary and you stop. And that's one of the biggest things in charities is people need to understand the vision, the focus of what it's about before they can contribute. Soon as you get clarity, what you end up with is create opportunities for people to contribute. We all make contributions all the time. In fact, human beings are contributing animals. But that may sound like common sense. The only thing is, it's not common practice. We don't invest time in giving our staff clarity and certainty. What we tend to invest time doing is telling them what to do, which isn't the same thing. Because if you tell someone, they forget. So this is step one. If you want to engage and motivate and inspire your team, the first thing you've got to do is set clear expectations. I have a gift for you at the end of this if you want. This is out of a video series I do. This is a 35-minute video series on how to get the best performance from your staff. And it's free for you today if you want it at the end. But this is just taking you through the steps. When you tell someone what to do, what are you actually doing? I mean, you're telling them what to do, but you're giving them a set of instructions. A, B, C, D. How many instructions do you think people can remember at once? Roughly? One. My son's dyslexic. He can remember 2, and when he gets to 3, it's like hit the reset button. The shelf is cleared and he forgets everything else before that. But how many of you have told people what to do again and again and again, and you're still not getting the result you want? Just look around the room. Put your hands up. Right? So this is very common experience. So I want you to stop that today. And when you go home tonight, you're going to have an idea of how you can get around that. Because what you do is they are trying to remember what you told them instead of focusing on producing the result you want. So we improve. We go to showing. Great. We're now demonstrating stuff. This is really important. And we should demonstrate. It's that if we demonstrate in a vacuum, all we're asking them to do again is remember to copy what you did, right? So you did that. Oh, I'm going to copy that. I'm focused on the thing that you're doing. I'm still not focused on the result. I'm still not focused on the outcome. I'm not having to think. I'm having to try to remember what to do. Remember your lines. If you ask someone, what happens? So how can you make our customers feel really happy when they leave the treatment room and feel they've been served properly? Okay, now I've got to think. What you've done is you've immediately challenged that person. Now, if they are in the right job and they're enjoying working for you because they're a passenger employee or a contributor employee, and you ask them, you've given them a challenge. And immediately they choose to accept that challenge, they're going to have to make a contribution because they're going to have to think. And suddenly, the game has changed. You're now not telling someone what to do, you're asking them how they're going to achieve the outcome. It's a very different thing. And what you're doing as you go across this slide is you're increasing the motivation, the engagement, because what you're doing is providing a challenge. Okay? Any questions on that so far? No? Why is this important? Well, there's this thing called the natural law of people. Excuse me a second. Every single one of us, every human being on the planet, wants to make a contribution. We are contribution animals. We want to make a contribution to something specific, though, not just anything. We want to contribute to something that is important to us, that we care about. These people have come to work for you. Do you think they care about your business? Of course they do. They're spending a third of their life in your work. That's something they care about. They may have to pay the bills. They may have to do lots of other stuff outside, but they came to work for you. They chose you because they want to make a contribution to your business. So when you make a contribution, if I'm making a contribution to something, I'm making a contribution to you. I want to know that this matters to you. Okay? Now I'm seeing nods of heads around it. I'm getting feedback, so I'm getting that what I'm saying is a contribution. That's really important to me. So if your staff are in your business, contributing to your business, how often do you let them know that it's important to you? Because once they've made the contribution, we have to appreciate it. And appreciation is not just saying thank you. Appreciation is very specific. You say thank you for the specific contributions they've made, and you also let them know what difference it made to you, because you're the person I'm contributing to. And if, as a salon owner, you don't tell them, do you know why that made a difference? It made a difference because. Now, when Alan did his amazing job that day, which surprised the hell out of me, I went and appreciated him. I said, Alan, thank you so much for the job you've done. I know you had to do it on your own, and that was a real ask, but nobody else is going to have to come in early, so they're just going to come in and do the job that night. Our guests are going to be blown away because it's absolute perfection, and thank you because you've taken a load of pressure off my mind. He was like, oh, thank you, boss. Our relationship changed that day. He became one of the most valued members of staff I've ever had in my life, and in so many different ways as well. So once you've appreciated their contribution, do you think they're willing to make a new one? Do you think they're going to go around that cycle? And what you start to do is you start to create the contribution revolution, which means people are going to want to contribute to you. But it's up to you to make that possible. So how do we do that? Well, we set the expectation. That's the most important thing. Then we've got to be able to appreciate the contribution, what we're able to have with, sorry, let me just catch 1 second. We're setting up this first part of relationship, the purpose. So I've set an expectation, I've challenged you to do something. Will you do this with me with this bit of the business? And you've gone, yeah, yeah. So my purpose with you is very specific. It's about that result. Your purpose with me is for me to help you get that result. And the way of saying that is that any management role, about any task, your job is to support them. The purpose of your relationship is to support them, contributing all of their knowledge, skills, passions, and abilities into achieving that task, or in a grander scale, transforming the vision of your business into reality. That's what a contribution is. That's what you want, and your relationship, the purpose of your relationship, is to elicit that from all of your staff. Does that make sense? So what's their purpose? Well, their purpose needs to be to allow you to support them in doing that. They need to engage with you to be able to do that. So they're giving you permission. They're giving you permission to support them. Now, support them doesn't mean hit them over the head with a stick. Support them doesn't mean bribe them. Support them means give them the great clarity and certainty of the processes and what you're trying to achieve so that they have the opportunity to contribute. Once we've got the idea of that in place, we need to set up the second part, which is the dynamic. And the first bit of the dynamic is measurement. We've got to measure something. We've got to measure performance. But what do you measure? So how many of you are challenged by people in the treatment room not selling enough aftercare? Is that still a big challenge in the business? Yes? So let's use that as an example. If you want to improve someone's selling ability in the treatment room, what are you going to measure? What would you measure? Sales. Okay, what else? Client satisfaction, getting good. What else? Time spent talking. Yeah, not bad. Customers returning. Okay, all quite good. All quite good results. Okay? So if someone's not very good at selling, and you say, we're going to measure you on this, and it gets to the end of the week, and the figures aren't very good, How well have we motivated, inspired, and engaged them in doing more sales? Not a lot. We've probably helped it go worse. How much? Thank you. So actually what we need to think of is subjective measurements, and I'll come to those in a second. So the value we need to add, that's not adding any value, isn't it, by just measuring the results of that person? So we've got to find something to value add to the process that we're going to measure. And we've got to work out how we're going to measure it. Because you can't go running into the treatment room, what they're doing is, how's the conversation going? Is it going okay? Right. Because it's not going to work. It's going to disrupt the process. So we need to understand the way we're going to do the measurement isn't going to impede either the performance of your member of staff or the customer experience. Because it's all about the customer experience. That's what's going to get you the money. So what we need to do is work on behavior change. That's what I'm going to focus on now. And if you get the course at the end of this and you want to have that, I go through all these in much more detail. But in time, we've only got 20 minutes left, to do this, we'll do it quickly. So when we're talking about behavior change, we want people to think differently. So we all are habitual creatures. All of us are habits. You know, I'm not going to do the old folding arm thing, that's an old trick, but we all do things by habit. You have a morning routine, an evening routine, a lunchtime routine. You have routines in your life, habits. But if I want to change a habit, I've got to make you think differently. I've got to change your mindset. I've got to get the new thinking in, because once you start to think differently, you naturally start to behave differently. If someone challenges you effectively, your behavior changes, because it has to, because it's a challenge. It's new. And then we talk about subjective and objective measurement. So that salesperson, if you ask anyone about selling, those are normally the words they come up with. Yeah? This is from a slide from Dan Pink. Ever heard of Dan Pink? Great. If you get any of his books, they're brilliant. But he was talking about sales, and this is what most people think about it, but all of us are selling every single minute of every single day. When you ask your boyfriend to make you a cup of tea, that's selling. We're engaging people in an activity. That's what selling is. So a subjective measurement, going back to our therapist, would be about their feelings. So how did it feel today talking to that customer? Oh, it was a bit embarrassing, da, 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 da. Okay, I've got some data. Did you understand how they're feeling? Understand what was missing? Did it work? Didn't it work? What did you leave out? So it's about the process, not the result. You're spending time now engaged in that staff member. You're investing your time in that staff member. Then we can have the objective measurements. Of course, you need those. You need to know who won the race. You need to know who scored the most points. But it's not necessarily going to be the ones that motivate people. This is what motivates people. This is what engages people. And by the way, these are the conversations we feel slightly uncomfortable having. The purpose for this video program I've got for you at the end is to give you some tips on how to have those conversations. Because once you start to do it, you'll feel more comfortable doing it. And what we're doing here is building up the dynamic part of this. So this is the purpose we've got. Your purpose for them, their purpose for you. And now the dynamic is how we're going to make those purposes work. How are we going to support them being achieved? And the final part of it is follow-up. So you've asked them how they felt about talking to the customer about the sales, and they've gone, well, it was a bit embarrassing, really. I didn't really feel comfortable. And you go, okay, you now have an opportunity to ask them some questions. You've created an opening for you to coach and improve and nurture that member of staff. You're not telling them, you're getting their input. They're engaged with you. Now, when you tell them some information now, are they going to listen? Of course they are, because you're answering their question. And it's they've asked for it, so people receive it much better. Once that opportunity is started, guess what you get to do first? Appreciate them for the good work. The customer feedback from that treatment was really good. Well done. Now, how did the sales process go? Oh, well, okay, let's see what we can do about it. We can identify what's missing, what barriers that individual might have, what challenges they're facing. They may not have the right product knowledge. And you've been banging on them about selling, but they actually don't know the product knowledge. Now you know, so what can you do? Give it to them. And they're going to receive it and be receptive. Start with ask. Then show, then tell. If you start with ask, show and tell are really valuable. Except we always start with tell because we think it saves us. And does it? Because you end up telling people again and again and again. What you enable it to do by having that sort of conversation is it creates the opportunity to encourage them, to motivate them, and inspire them to try again. Instead of stopping them, you're actually engaging in them in the challenge of getting better. That's what this is about, engaging them in the challenge of getting better, rather than leaving it up to you to make them better. Because I promise you, you cannot make your staff better. You can spend hours, thousands of pounds, all you like, trying to make your staff better, but unless they choose the challenge, it's not going to happen. If you take care of your staff will take care of your customers, and your customers will take care of your business. And what it's about is taking care of your staff properly. It's not being soft and cuddly and friendly and making them cups of tea. It's actually being rigorous. And it's being rigorous about a few things. It's being rigorous about the vision, clarity of the vision you have for your business. This is how I want my customers to feel when they leave the salon. How are you going to help me make that happen? This is how I want my customers to feel about purchasing home care. How are you going to make that happen? This is how I want my customers to feel about coming back to the salon. How are you going to make that happen? So making the challenge really clear and telling the outcome in a way that every single member of staff understands it. And remember, if they come from different parts of the country or different cultures, you may have to explain it in different ways. Because their culture, they will perceive what you're saying differently. And finally, be really clear about the processes you have in your business. Get rid of any confusion. Because if you get rid of the confusion, it's easier for them to step up and contribute. What you're doing by doing this, remember we're building relationship, effective relationship, you're taking the relationships from the top to the bottom, and underneath the red line, these are effective relationships. They're based on emotion, they're based on understanding, they're based on a resource. These are your top contributors. They're a resource to you, but you are a resource to them. This is a two-way street. We all have opinion-based relationships. The majority of your relationships are opinion-based. Because those are those people that, on a good day, you can ask them, and they go, yep. And on a bad day, you walk across to ask them, and you stop and go, no, it's not worth it. I'll just do it myself. How many times does that happen for you? Yeah? But down here, this is when you start to get permission to challenge. This is when you get to ask them to do things that are really quite hard, but they do it willingly because they're on your side. You've got that effective relationship. So, for you, the next steps. Well, it is about effective relationships. And effective relationships come from purpose and dynamic, come from setting expectations, measuring it and following up, because you're starting a dialogue which is called a relationship, and it works. But then you need to free up more of your time. Now you've got your staff performing to a better level, you need to start to free up your time. So you need to learn to delegate effectively, because then you get more time to work on your business rather than in your business. And once you get to that, you might start to want to expand or grow. Well, then you need to be able to have behavior standards for your business so that new staff coming in get this really quickly. They know the rules of the game. They know how to not turn up in rugby boots onto the tennis court. They come dressed for the occasion and do the job the way you want it done. But it all starts with effective measurement and follow-up. Without that, you can spend hours and thousands of pounds trying to change the behavior of staff. But if you don't measure and follow them up effectively, it doesn't work. So, the gift. If you take your phones out and you text profit to 66777, you'll get this text back with a link, which will take you to this little page. Horrible picture of me, sorry about that. Scroll down, gives you an instant access button. Go over here, you put your name and your email address in, get instant access, you get to the product, and then you create your login. The product is in 4 parts: an introduction, the expectations part, the measurement part, and the follow-up part. There's about 35 minutes of video, and with it, there's a workbook which you can print off as many times as you want and use it as many times as you want, which will help you go through getting consistently good performance from all of your staff. And that's free to you from me, because it takes everything I've been talking about and gives you a structure to work it through. So please take that and do that. But I want to do one thing more. So I'm going to offer 3 people a 1-hour coaching session with me, either face-to-face if you are local enough, and by that I mean south-west of London area, or we can do it over Skype. And all you have to do is email the word competition to beauty@tobe2serve.com, and I'll get back to you and we'll arrange the details. We can do it on Skype, or as I said, if it's close enough, we'll do it face-to-face. And we're going to pick 3 people out of the hat to do that, okay? So thank you very much for your time. Please do not forget to get your free gift, and thank you very much.